Welcome to my channel, and as a first video I thought perhaps a little get to know you might be in order, and there are a few ways to do that because I'm not really sure of all the content I'm going to have on this channel. I have a few ideas I'm going to work with, but for a good get to know you, considering the current social climate out there and what people tend to find important here and there on YouTube, I thought I would present to you my privilege. Now, from BuzzFeed, we've got the Check Your Privilege test, and I'm going to go take that for you right now. So over on BuzzFeed, we have our How Privileged Are You checklist. And let's get to work on this baby. And starting from the top, check all the statements that apply to you. Yes, I am white. I have never been discriminated against because of my skin color. Now right there, we've got something a little bit different. Because even though I am white, yes, I have been discriminated against because of my skin color. In order to get a job, I recall I wanted to get a job at Costco somewhere out in Brooklyn, and I had a friend who worked there as a local store manager, and his father was the regional manager. And at this new Costco that was being built up, I went to apply, and part of my interview was to sit with my friend's father. And he said he enjoyed the fact that I was there, and he wished that he could help me out, but that they were only looking for black people in that neighborhood. So I was told that as good as I might be for that job, they were not going to be able to hire me because I was white, and that's not what they were looking for at that point. And the next item here, I have never been the only person of my race in a room. Well, yeah, I have been the only person of my race in a room, once again, looking for a job, another job in Brooklyn. I think it was around that same time. But yeah, I recall a couple of instances where I was the only white guy in a room looking for a job. So I am not checking that off. I have never been mocked for my accent. I'm gonna check that because not maliciously. I've had jokes made. From Brooklyn, of course. I've moved around a bit, so the accent that I've taken with me and has changed over the years has been made fun of here or there, but nothing horrible. So I'm not gonna consider what happened to me painful mocking. So I'm gonna go with I have never been mocked. Let's get some more privilege there. I have never been told I am attractive for my race. Well, correct. I have never been a victim of violence because of my race. I have never been called a racial slur. I would say that I have. I identify as white. I look like one of the whitest guys you ever meet, but I am half Hispanic, and I have been called a spick a few times. So yeah, I have been called a racial slur a few times. So, and. It didn't pain me, it didn't hurt my feelings, it didn't make me want to rage, but it did happen. I have never been told I sound white. Yeah, but I'm going to go with, I've never been told that. A stranger has never asked to touch my hair or asked if it is real. No, that has happened a few times. I, for a while, had some very long hair that I used to dye in a variety of colors, greens and purples, things like that. When I went with the whole vampire fangs and dark makeup thing going on. So yeah, I've had strangers want to touch my long hair at the time, and now at this point in my life, I now shave my head completely, and I have had strangers want to rub my bald head. Giggity. So. Yeah, I've been there before. I am heterosexual, yes. I have never lied about my sexuality. We're going to go with I have never lied. I've never had to come out. I never doubted my parents' acceptance of my sexuality. Okay. I've never been called a fag. Yes, I've been called a fag before. I think growing up, I think everybody, male, female, has been called a fag at least once. I don't fucking doubt it. I have never been called a dyke, though. I've never been called a fairy or other derogatory slur for homosexuals. Just like fag, I think I've been called fairy before, along with everybody else I've ever known. I've never tried to hide my sexuality, which I think is kind of the same thing as asking if I've ever lied about my sexuality. So I'm going to go also with no. I've never tried to hide it. Never needed to. I'm always comfortable with PDA, with my partner public displays of affection. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I don't really give a shit. If I'm comfortable with the person, I will be as public with my displays of affection as I can, up until the point where maybe I would get arrested for it. I've never pretended to be just friends with my significant other. Okay, no, I never had to do that. I have never been ostracized from my religion. I have never been ostracized by my religion for my sexual orientation. I'm currently atheist. I grew up Catholic / born-again Christian, and I found I didn't like either of those. But as an atheist, no, I'm not ostracized for my sexual orientation. I have never been told I would burn in hell for my sexual orientation. No, I don't think I have. I have never been told that my sexuality is just a phase. No. I've never been violently threatened because of my sexuality. Nope. I am a man. I feel comfortable in the gender I was born as. So far, yeah. I still identify as the gender I was born in. Yes. I have never tried to change my gender. No. I have never been denied an opportunity because of my gender. I don't believe I have. I make more money than my professional counterparts of a different gender. I would say no. Most jobs I've had, my coworkers were male because I tend to work at the time in very physically strenuous jobs. I did a lot of labor in warehousing and stuff like that, and women in warehousing were not common. They tend to work for the companies that I work for, but they were doing office jobs. They didn't work on the floor moving equipment, moving product. Occasionally, I saw the rare female truck driver come through, but it wasn't really the same job as mine. So I couldn't even really say if I would make more money than my professional counterparts if they had the same job. I've had people who had less experience than me come into the same job and make more money than me. That has happened a couple times, but they were male. So it's really up in the air, and I am not going to check that off out of spite for the whole wage gap bullshit. I have never felt unsafe because of my gender. Not overly so, no. I've been in a couple situations where knowing that I was the man meant that if violence had broken out or too much attention was negatively thrown towards my girlfriend or other females that I happen to be with, that I would have to be the one that was going to take some major damage if anything broke out. But did I feel overly fearful? Did I have to stay in the light? No. So I have never felt unsafe. We'll go with that one. I've never been catcalled. Strangely enough, I have been catcalled, I think, on a couple of small occasions, and those were by gay men in Manhattan, down in Soho. I remember walking down the streets and being catcalled by a long string of gay men that were hanging outside some of the cafes that were there. So we're going to go with yes, I have been catcalled. I have never been sexually harassed or assaulted. I have never been raped. I worked in a salaried job. My family and I have never lived below the poverty line. That is untrue. I have lived below that poverty line many times. I do not have any student loans, and I have gone to bed hungry a few times. I have been homeless, but I did have a car to sleep in, and that only lasted a couple of weeks. It was more of a technicality in between homes, but I didn't have a lifestyle of a homeless. I didn't spend more than a couple of weeks without a home once I moved out from my parents' house. So I'm going to go with I have never been homeless. Even though I had a couple of weeks there, I don't think it really counts. My parents pay some of my bills. No. My parents pay all of my bills. No. I don't rely on public transportation. I currently do not. When I was living in New York, I did. But we're talking about right now. Let's see. I buy new clothes at least once a month? No. I have never done taxes myself. Well, yeah, I would say I never have, because I think I would fuck that up completely. I have never felt poor. I have always felt poor. Fuck you. I have never had to worry about making rent. Not currently, but I have spent many a year wondering what the hell's going to happen next month, the month after. I have never worked as a waiter, barista, bartender, or salesperson. I have an unpaid internship. No. I have had multiple unpaid internships. No. I went to summer camp. Nope. I did not go to private school. I graduated high school. I did not go to an elite college. I did not graduate college. My parents paid at least some of my tuition. No. I had a car in high school. No, it wasn't mine. I just had a car for a few days. I just had a car long enough to drive to prom. That was about it. I've never had a roommate, and I have had a couple. I've always had cable? No. I have traveled internationally? No. I travel internationally at least once a year? No. Studied abroad? Well, I'm not really checking anything here, am I? I've never skipped a meal to save money, and I have, so I'm not checking that, and I don't know what a Sally Mae is. Don't really care. I spent spring breaks abroad. I have frequent flyer miles. No. Wow. My parents are heterosexual. Yes. My parents are both alive? No. Only one. My parents are still married. Considering only one of them is alive, they are not still married. I do not have any physical disabilities. I do not have any social disabilities. I do not have any learning disabilities. I have never had an eating disorder. I have never been depressed. Well, I have. Many a times. Almost a lifestyle. I have never considered suicide. I have many a time. I have never attempted suicide. And we'll just answer that with a yes, I have. And we'll leave it at that. So I'm not checking that off either. I have never taken medication for my mental health. I've taken quite a few medications for that. I can afford medication if when I need it. Not currently, no. Oh, wait. I'll uncheck that. I can't afford it just yet. I have never been told I'm overweight or too skinny. I've been told I'm overweight a few times. Yeah, I've been told I was too skinny a number of years ago when a heavy set, no pun intended, of depression set in and I lost a lot of weight. I've been told I was too skinny then. I have never felt overweight or underweight or too skinny. Yeah, I felt everything. That's very vague there. I have never been shamed for my body type. No, I haven't. Nobody's tried to cause me shame for it. They may have made any form of lighthearted joke, or maybe they were trying to shame me, but I didn't take it too hard. That's also, it's very out there. Somebody could have been trying to shame me and just failed at it, and I just took it as some stupid little joke and then moved on with my life. because I'm not that fragile. I consider myself to be physically attractive. I'm going to check it off because I do sometimes, and then I have some times where I don't. But I want to get some kind of checks on this board here. And no, I cannot afford a therapist. I've used prescription drugs recreationally. I mean, I haven't done it often, and I haven't done it for years and years and years, but since I have, I'll check it off. I have never had an addiction. Not to anything hardcore, really. My addictions might be coffee. I would say perhaps cigarettes, or nicotine for that matter. I bounce back and forth between a cigarette and an e-cigarette or vaping shit, depending on how I feel. And I think maybe porn, a good porn addiction. So, yeah, got those. But I think they might be talking about hardcore stuff. But I don't give a fuck. This is my test. I have never been shamed for my religious beliefs. Not really. When I had quote-unquote religion, I wasn't really shamed for it. And now that I'm atheist, I don't exactly promote it and put it on a shirt and run out there and scream that I'm an atheist. So I don't have reason to be shamed for it, since nobody knows and nobody really asks all that much. It's not something you just do with people, is run up and ask them what religion they are. I have never been violently threatened for my religious beliefs. I have never been violently attacked for those beliefs, or lack thereof. There is a place of worship for my religion in my town. As an atheist, there's no concept of worship, really, and any place is a place of non-worship. So I'm gonna not check that. I don't know why. It's my choice. I have never lied about my ethnicity as self-defense. I've never lied about my religion as self-defense. All my jobs have been accommodating to my religious practices. It's never come up. I don't have religious practices, so I never had to have this be a problem. So, I'm going to say yeah. I am not nervous in airport security lines. Not really. It's annoying, and there's always maybe that little fraction of nervousness. You know, what if something goes wrong? What if, like, my belt buckle or the pen in my pocket or something stupid like that? But no, I'm not nervous. Like, I think it's people are looking at me and I'm going to be the one that's taken down. I have never heard this statement. You have been randomly selected for secondary passport control. No, I've never heard it. I don't have a passport. I do not travel out of the country. I have never been called a terrorist. Nobody has ever tried to save me for my religious beliefs. And the few people that have come to know that I was an atheist that had religion, yes, they have tried to save me. So, fuck them. I'm not checking that box. I have never been cyberbullied for any of my identities. I don't think I have. I was not bullied as a child for any of my identities. I only have one identity. And I was bullied as a child for almost everything that I was. So I spent a good deal of my childhood running away from people that were trying to kick my ass, making fun of me for this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, I was bullied quite a bit as a kid. I have never tried to distance myself from my identities. You know, considering I really only have one, no, I haven't tried to distance myself from it. I have never been self-conscious about any of my identities. Well, nothing worthwhile. I have never questioned any of my identities. I've occasionally questioned the voices in my head, but I don't consider those identities. Those are just occasional thoughts, random thoughts in my head that use other people's voices. And but I know what they're trying to go for here. I'm not trying to make up my own definition of this statement. I know what they're going for. And no, I have never questioned any of my identities. I feel privileged because of the identities I was born with. Honestly, I don't feel privileged for the identity that I am. It's not a privilege, it's just who I am. I don't give a fuck. So I'm going to check my privilege. Oh boy, You live with 54 out of 100 points of privilege. You're quite privileged. You've had a few struggles, but overall your life has been far easier than most. This is not a bad thing. Then don't make it seem like a bad thing. Nor is it something to be ashamed of, and I am not ashamed. But you should be aware of your advantages and work to help others who don't have them. Thank you for checking your privilege. And fuck you for making this test. Sooner or later, maybe in a few months' time, maybe in a year or so, this is one of those things I might come back to recheck my privilege and see if I have a different feel and an opinion about myself. But even at 54 out of 100, it still says I'm quite privileged. I mean, what do I have to do? How low does this score have to go for it to finally say I have no privilege? I mean, if I had a 10 out of 100 points, does it still say something like, you've got a little bit of privilege there, but we can whittle that down a little bit more. You know, you're not quite as oppressed as you should be. So, nevertheless, took my little test, found out that I have the 54 out of 100. It was kind of interesting to go through and helped me look back and remember some of the more fun things during my life. Now, as for this channel, what I want to do with it here is this privilege test is not really it's not really a sign of what this channel is mainly going to be. I do have some very strong anti-third wave feminist and anti-social justice warrior views and opinions, but that's not the whole of what I hope to go through and go for here. I do look forward to doing some Let's Play videos. I want to do some video game reviews and some random ideas that I have to just share and speak out just for the fuck of it. Thanks for sitting with me during this stupid test, and I hope to see you soon in the next video, whatever that will be, whenever that will be.